All right, we're back again. Another episode of Understory Unfiltered. Very special guest, a good friend of ours, Nick Velkovski, co-founder and CEO of Heyreach. Massive fan, man. Thank you for coming on. We're way overdue.
Thank you very much for having me here.
You've been traveling like a crazy person. You're on like a global tour. Let's get Heyreach out to the entire world. So I feel like this is overdue. We're like 2 months overdue, but we finally made it happen.
Yeah, I'm sorry for postponing it so much, but finally you caught me in Belgrade at the moment. So yeah.
And San Francisco next week.
Exactly.
For a long time, right? How long are you there for?
2 months. Yeah, 2 months.
So far. I feel like you're probably going to extend it. Eventually, I feel like you're just going to do 6 months in San Francisco, 6 months in Macedonia or something like that.
Looks like that. I don't know, but maybe a little bit San Francisco, a little bit Berlin, a little bit Barcelona, here and there. Yeah, I kind of like this digital nomading lifestyle.
You're a global citizen. That's what you are.
Exactly, John Lennon.
Yep. Cool, man. So I think a lot of our audience is going to be familiar with you guys. I feel like you guys have taken the world by storm. You know, you guys are probably at this point the most, at least the fastest growing LinkedIn automation tool in the world. Growing rapidly. The feature set is getting unbelievable. In my mind, I think you guys are the best tool in the world. That's why we use you guys as an agency. We've been using you guys for over a year now, and we're not looking back. So kudos to you on that. But for people that don't know, why don't you talk a little bit more about what Heyreach is, what the goal is, where you came from, and then I really want to get into your origin story.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Nick. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Heyreach, and Heyreach is a LinkedIn automation tool that allows you to input leads from anywhere you want, Clay, Sales Navigator, LinkedIn, and so on. Build sequences, super scalable sequences where you can utilize multiple senders, scale it with a bunch of different LinkedIn actions, and at the end has like a Unibox where you have all of the conversations from all of the LinkedIn senders, from all of the leads centralized in one place.
So Nick, for people that aren't familiar with Heyreach, tell us a little bit more about who you guys are, what you do, and then we're going to get into the origin story.
Yeah. So Heyreach is a LinkedIn automation tool that's specifically built for sales teams and lead gen agencies that allow you to scale your whole LinkedIn outreach game. Pretty much you can import leads from anywhere on the internet, like Clay, Sales Navigator, some CSV, LinkedIn searches, etc., and so on. Build like a LinkedIn sequences of LinkedIn actions such as connection requests, messages, follow-ups, emails, whatever you want. And at the end, handle all of the replies into one unified inbox where you have all of the conversations from all of the senders centralized into one place. Difference between Heyreach and the other tools on the market is that it allows you to safely scale your whole outreach. It allows you to connect multiple LinkedIn senders, attach them into one sequence, and instead of sending 20 connections per day or connecting with 20 leads, you can add, let's say, 10 senders. Each one of them connects with 20 senders automatically. And this pool, increases to being able to connect with 200 people per day. Also, another difference here is that Heyreach is integrations first. So it really gets under the hood. It integrates into your outbound stack and pretty much communicates well and natively with a bunch of the most popular GTM tools. So probably if you have like an outbound stack, probably Heyreach integrates with everything there.
That's something I'm definitely going to want to talk about. I mean, there's two tools in particular that you're integrating with now that in my mind completely change the game and make it a no-brainer to use Heyreach versus any other tool. We'll talk about those. One of them actually is just launching in beta today. I think you know what I'm talking about, but I'm absolutely pumped about it. And I made a post about it. It's actually live right now. But greatest integration since sliced bread, even though sliced bread isn't an integration. So I'm really pumped about this one.
Likewise.
But the other thing I want to talk to you about when we're talking about Heyreach, so you guys were not a LinkedIn platform at first, or not a LinkedIn tool at first. You were a Reddit tool.
Yep.
No one knows this about you guys. Sometimes even for a while, I don't know if it's still happening, but I was getting invoiced by Howitzer, right? I wasn't even receiving invoices from Heyreach or your legal company name. It was Howitzer. So let's talk about Howitzer. What the hell was Howitzer? How did Howitzer pivot and shift into Heyreach? How did this whole thing happen?
Yeah. So Howitzer, it was a Reddit marketing tool that allowed you to kind of like find your potential customers on Reddit and send automatic DMs, to reach out to them. This was the first and back then the only Reddit DM tool. And when we built it, Reddit allowed you to send like 1,000 DMs in an hour. Like it was pretty much unlimited. We built it as a side project to like a marketing tool for another startup that we had, another startup idea that we failed.
And this was you and Stefan, right?
Yeah, me and Stefan.
Yeah.
We were building like since university. We've been always trying to create. I mean, my whole life I've been always trying to create some kind of business, and all of these ideas that we had. One of them was a mobile app called Beer Money, and we tried to do rate ads, and we couldn't get any success with rate ads. So we built like a simple script that scraped Reddit in real time, found who mentioned something. For example, you were selling. Somebody mentioned mobile app for this or that. We're scraping those people and allowing you to send thousands and thousands of DMs to them. Back then we didn't understand anything about the outreach world. We were calling it marketing tool. We didn't even know what outbound or outreach or stuff like that are. So yeah, we built it. It was pretty successful actually. It was in 2021 and 2022. We were mostly used by NFTs, crypto coins, and OnlyFans creators. It was kind of like the starting of the OnlyFans agencies launching coins and stuff like that. Both of the ICPs, they couldn't do any kind of marketing besides Discord, Twitter, and Reddit, and we kind of like really well aligned into that positioning.
So
So
you
yeah,
saw a gap and you filled it. That's awesome.
exactly.
That's
Exactly.
entrepreneurship 101 right there. It's like identify a problem, build something to fix that problem. You already know that problem exists, make some money off of it. That's awesome. So another thing that I think is super interesting about you guys, I mean, you can tell by your accent, but I don't think people know where that accent's from because Macedonia is this place on the map that does not get the attention it deserves. And you guys have really put it on the map in a major way. And I know it's something you are extremely proud of. Most of your team, if not all of your team, is based in Macedonia. It's super impressive what you've done for yourselves, for the country. But let's talk about that. How did you guys get the inspiration that you guys have to build such a successful startup, bootstrap that startup from Macedonia, a place that has pretty much no tech scene? I think you guys are rated number 78 in the world in terms of startup ecosystems. How did this come about? Where did the inspiration come from? How do you and Stefan know each other? I guess talk to us about that whole thing because I think this is fascinating and I don't think enough people know this story.
Yeah, so I think everything started like in 2017, my first university, my first year at university. Back then, like Macedonia was known for outsourcing talent. So pretty much, you're, let's say, a company that's in the States or in Europe, in Western Europe, you open your office in Macedonia because it's kind of like cheap talent. And all of
Yep.
the universities, I mean, there are like two universities, but one of them is specializing in computer science. They build their whole programs so they can produce workforce for this couple of outsourcing companies. So everything at my university was like work really hard so you can get a salary of 2,000 euros and you can work in really nice offices. And I remember from first year of university, I was like, they're showing us a picture of Google offices or something like that. Oh, if you work really hard, you can work for these offices. And I was like, well, I want to have offices like this. And I remember one of the professors was like, those things are not happening here. Like those things, you cannot expect those stuff here. And I met Stefan in the first year of university. We were like super alike, listening to the same music, doing the same things. And I kind of like wanted to build a startup since I would say high school or even earlier. And I slowly passed that idea on him. And I remember like we were dreaming, oh, we can have a company like this and so on. But like in Macedonia, pretty much the startup scene was non-existent. There were kind of like couple of local startups, and that was it. I remember I found Indie Hackers. That's a forum for entrepreneurs. It was like the super early days of Indie Hackers. I started reading it. My mentor, he introduced me to Y Combinator. He was actually a guy who was building a startup, and he was my first touch point with, oh, you can create something, you can build something, somebody can use that. So like a huge percentage of my early education in startups was from Marian, who is currently at Heyreach. He's our VP of engineering. He's the guy who taught me how to code and stuff like that. So this interesting symbiosis and me kind of like researching and trying to grasp what's happening in the world and how people are building things and what startups actually are was the eye-opening thing. So yeah, we were trying to build a couple of startups. We were working with Marian on one of his startups. Then we were working a bit on a Serbian startup. And I remember like me and Stefan, we quit that Serbian startup and we were like, okay, let's push Howitzer into a product. Let's kind of like build a product out of this. If some people out there can actually build products out of their ideas, scripts, whatever, why we couldn't? And I cannot explain you how much backlash we got. Like friends, professors, anyone, like everyone in Macedonia was like, you cannot raise, you cannot push a product. Those things are not happening here. Those are kind of like the American story and so on. And I remember we launched Howitzer in 2021 May, something like that, 2021 May. We scaled to like 1.5K MRR the first month. And a tech journalist, I started building in public. I learned this concept building in public from indie hackers, and I started just pushing content online. And there was this tech journalist who reached out, did an interview with me, push the whole story to investors. And again, we also never thought that actually we can raise, because like in Macedonia, the biggest investment that ever happened by that point was like something like 100,000, and that was it. So yeah, it's a wild place. If you compare it to the moment where, for example, Macedonia still doesn't have Stripe, doesn't have PayPal, doesn't have Uber, Bolt. You
It's
cannot
crazy,
pay with
actually.
card in taxis. Like it's so third worthy if you compare it to like US or Western Europe. So it's kind of like two different worlds. Those things are completely different.
That's awesome that you got to hire your mentor. I feel like not a lot of people can say that they got to hire their mentor.
Such a cool story.
Do you feel like you've almost like changed a lot of perceptions about the Macedonian startup ecosystem? Do you feel like people are coming to you for mentorship in Macedonia now also?
Yeah, it's happening. I'm super proud of that. And that's one of the kind of like biggest internal missions that we have. Like creating the modern startup ecosystem. There are like kids coming to me and being like, hey, I have this idea. You motivated me. I read about you. You inspired me and stuff
That's
like that.
awesome.
It's really beautiful to be able to be creating that startup ecosystem from inside. So yeah, that's definitely a thing that we are proud of, and we are doing.
It was something that stuck out to me in a big way when we hung out in San Francisco, right? It's like we may or may not had a couple drinks, right? And when we're talking and we're having these conversations, both you and Stefan, like I feel like the thing that resonated most was how proud both of you were to be able to give back to Macedonia. Whether it's people in Macedonia that are working at Heyreach, mentees, people that you're mentoring in Macedonia, whatever it was, I could tell that was so clearly your mission. And the way you guys live still, like you guys are both so humble. Even though you have a $7 million bootstrap company, you guys don't spend anything. It's like we were at these parties and I see you grabbing food off the table. You're like, oh, I don't need to spend any money. I'd rather give it to my team and pay everyone really well. Like that type of stuff. One, that's leadership 101. But two, it's so clear that like the underlying mission that you guys have is so much bigger than just making money. It's giving back to the Macedonian community. And I think that really shines through. And frankly, for Ali and I as business owners that are spending money with you guys, right? It makes us a lot more comfortable spending money knowing that you guys are great people with a great mission. So you should know that shows through in your actions and the way that you guys carry yourselves. And people like to buy from people that they enjoy being around and they like, right? So keep doing you. Don't change that up. It goes
Very
a
much.
long way and it's very noticeable.
Thank you very much. This means a lot. Thank you.
Of course. Of course.
One thing I am interested in is the reverse, because when you were in San Francisco, how long, when we saw you last time, how long were you spending there? I think you and Stefan spent a couple months in San Francisco, right?
2 months. 2 months as well.
2 months. I'd love to hear your perspective, just like being there for a couple months, also returning. Like, how are things different in San Francisco? What are the types of people you got to meet? Like, just your overall impression of the city and why you came back.
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco is literally the heart where the tech is invented. Like that's, the single spot on the earth where the tech is erupting. And in my opinion, like it really opens your mind about what's possible, what's happening, where the world is going. The stuff that you're gonna see in San Francisco are coming to the world like a couple of years later. Like the inception of the ideas and the inception of what's gonna come is actually happening in NASA. So for me, also, it had another perspective. For example, let me give you a little bit backstory. My first time when I went to US was in San Francisco last year. I knew nobody. Like I literally just booked a flight, somehow got a visa, and landed in San Francisco, living in a co-living house that was held by some Ukrainian company. Like literally my initial network in SF was zero. I started going to events. I was going to like 2 or 3 events per day, networking with people, going to the after parties, meeting them, asking them to expand my network and stuff like that. And I met like amazing people who really had huge influence on how I'm thinking and how I'm running the company. Like, for example, we were pretty positive that we were going to go with the VC route. We are going to build all-in-one tool. We are going to, go and compete with giants like SalesLoft, Outreach, and so on. But like having all of all of those people who have made it, people who have exited, people who want to give back and are giving you the advices, are allowing you to pick their brain and get their 2 cents, are actually really impacted on the few, like what we have done with Heyreach and the way we are running it. So I would say that it was like company changing to be there. Like some people like Viral from 6sense, I must give like props to the guy. Super amazing way of thinking, always there to help, really changed my perspective on things. Another thing that I saw and that I learned from Americans, you Americans have something called do it for the plot, which is pretty much you just go and do something. It's gonna be for the life. It's gonna be kind of like a movie scene or something like that. But you go and do it. You kind of like don't care about what the society is gonna, if the society is gonna critique it or something like that. You just do it for the plot because it's interesting, because you really want to do it. So that's one of the kind of like major takeouts that they took from US. That's not only applicable in the career, but it's also applicable in my life. And I would say like since then I'm living much more happily compared to previously. And the third major thing is like the scale that the US founders are thinking. Like, for example, in Europe, we are dreaming about building a unicorn. In US, the founders are dreaming about pushing the company to the IPO. Like, they don't even mention unicorn. They don't care about, I know, this or that. They're just pushing it to IPO. And this is something that we Europeans don't have. Like, when you talk with VC funds and stuff like that, you're like, oh, I'm gonna build $100 million business. In US, it's like, we're gonna go public, we're gonna own the market, we're gonna disrupt it, we're gonna create it. So like, ask a random founder from US, do they really believe their idea can become like an IPO idea? Most of them are gonna say yes. Ask a European founder, you're gonna get no. But on the other hand, we Europeans, we are doing things. Like, I have seen that in US, people are talking about things, are hyping, are focusing on valuation and stuff like that. And we Europeans, we just launch it, we just do it, and so on. So in my opinion, if you combine those two mindsets into one, I think you can be unstoppable. So that's how I'm seeing my spending part of the year in the States versus spending part of the year in Europe.
Super interesting. So to clarify, before those 2 months, you were planning to go talk to VCs and actually raise like a serious round, and that like trip completely changed that?
Yeah, exactly. We switched.
awesome.
And you get rejected from Y Combinator, right? So like, I think we should talk about that too, because the way you described this to us when we were in SF, I could like feel the level of heartbrokenness coming from your voice, just telling the story of how you felt in that moment. So let's talk about that when you guys applied to Y Combinator and got rejected, because I think this is huge. And this is, in my mind, like it seems like it was the transformational moment that pushed you guys to say, fuck it, we're going all in.
Yeah, exactly. I really love to get into Y Combinator. Since I was, 2017, when Marian, my mentor, introduced me to startup school and all of the stuff, I always considered Y Combinator as like being the highest form that you can achieve as a founder. So I applied with Heyreach. When I applied, we were doing like 40K MRR, something like that, and I got like an interview scheduled with them. Guys, like, I cannot explain you how happy I was for the interview. I was really preparing. Me and Stefan were like constantly talking about that and so on. We jumped on the interview. We had the interview with them, and they said no. And we were doing like, I think 60 something K MRR when they said no. We were like really heartbroken, but like, that thing passed. We are, just chilling. And 2 weeks later, I'm waking up to an email from Y Combinator that says, hey guys, let's talk again. And this is a day after we hit 1 million in revenue. And I was like, okay. I asked around some founders, and they said like, this never happened. Y Combinator, after they said no, they never reached out to somebody to talk again. And they scheduled the interview, but the interview was overlapping with our trip to the airport. Like, we were flying for some conference, me and Stefan, and this was literally when we were at the airport. And I have a picture of this, like me and Stefan being between two cars on the airport parking, because like there was windy, as fuck, and the weather outside, inside was so loud. So we got the laptop, got between the two cars, and we had the interview with Y Combinator, which was for like 40 minutes. It ended. We, flew back. I was again pretty positive that we were gonna get accepted, and again they said no. And I was like, okay, who invites you to an interview again to just say
just to reject you?
Yeah. But it passed, and from this perspective, the guys were right. And this thing was much better for us to not raise from them, because like right now we have all of the freedom. We can do whatever we want. We are not forced to build like a VC-backed company. And additionally, I pretty much booked my San Francisco trip on the basis I'm going to Y Combinator. Like I was 100% positive that I'm gonna go to Y Combinator. So I was like, let's go, booking the stuff, going in, and at the end I was like, okay, I didn't got accepted. We are not going to YC, but like I'm anyway gonna go to US and I'm gonna make it without YC. So yeah, pretty much that kind of happened.
And
And
did
I'll
they
tell you
give you a
something.
reason for getting rejected? Like, do they ever provide a reason, or is it just like a blanket email that they send? Like,
They,
sorry.
they gave reasons, they gave feedback. I cannot remember it on top of my mind, but it was
Sure.
detailed feedback like, oh, the competition is so big, you wouldn't be able to compete with some well-funded companies and so on and so on. So it was that kind of thing.
Everything happens for a reason.
Exactly. And I thought it was super interesting that Ali and I, who are both American, live in America full time, right? And it's like Ali, literally, his brother lives in San Francisco. Like we're in San Francisco all the time, and hanging out with you in San Francisco, we felt like tourists. It's like we felt like tourists in our own country because you had just become so acquainted with all the people, the ecosystem. It's like you brought us to parties, you knew all of the places to go out. It's like it feels like you really adjusted quickly. And something that I think is really understated as a founder too is your ability to network, right? And create partnerships. I think you're best in class at that. And Stefan, despite being a developer, is also he's best in class at it. Stefan is one of those guys. It's like you see him and you're like, okay, clearly this guy lives behind the scenes. He's the one coding. This guy's razor sharp. And then you talk to him and he's like the coolest guy ever. And he's such a good networker himself. And it was just kind of fascinating to see how well you guys had integrated with the San Francisco ecosystem in such a short amount of time, to the point where you were introducing us to people. I thought that was super cool. But that's super. It's incredibly valuable, and we see our business as a very similar process. Like I would say, what scaled us to where we are today is primarily like our network and partnerships. Right? It's like Ali comes heavily from tech. My background is heavily in just sales and consulting and networking. And because of that, it's like when you blend those networks with those skills, magic happens. And it's like we've gone from a completely unknown agency to working with some of the biggest tech companies in the world, all because of that. It's completely that. So the importance of networking is everything. And I think you guys have really embodied using every moment and every opportunity that's in front of you to network as hard as possible and build those integrations. So like I want to talk about integrations too before we get carried away with anything else, because this to me is mission critical for the success of Heyreach so far and where you guys are about to go. So Clay, you guys have obviously integrated with Clay before any other platform that does what you guys do. And because of that, I feel like mass adoption has occurred. I mean, the reason we started using Heyreach more than any other tool in particular was that, transparently. It was because we could plug everything into Clay. We could push all the information we wanted via API into Heyreach and start sequencing that way. Made our lives a million times easier, made the outreach a million times better because we're Clay experts too. So how did you get in with Clay that early? Because you guys were still relatively unknown at that point.
Yep. The situation was like when we launched Heyreach and when we decided to niche down to lead gen agencies, when we did the whole pricing and so on, it was pretty much the same moment when Clay was launching the Clayagent and the agencies. Back then, right now we have LinkedIn creators. Back then, there weren't LinkedIn creators, there were like agencies. And some of the agencies, they started producing content. And Clay back then was natively integrated with SmartLead. This was, I think, end of 2023. They were natively integrated with SmartLead, just kind of like launching the Clayagent. So like a lot of agencies started picking it up. It was the same moment when we also decided to niche down to agencies. So like some of the agencies started, mentioning us, Clay, SmartLead, Heyreach. And Heyreach was the new kid on the block that was allowing you to scale your LinkedIn outreach to pretty much a similar extent that you were able to scale your email outreach. So, some of the agencies started sharing about us, started posting about us. The other agencies saw, so this is the way to get clients. Let's share what we have built. Let's share our stacks. Let's be kind of like open, building in public. So they started, some of the agencies started copying what the other agencies are doing. Some started, producing similar content. There were like some of them reusing pictures and stuff like that. So out of the blue, Heyreach was part of all of the outbound stacks that the agencies were using. It was somebody called it the holy trio, like Clay, SmartLead, Heyreach. And in May, actually, I was doing a presentation about this in Belgrade yesterday, and I have the screenshot. I might send it to you. Stefan, who is data partnerships at Clay, he reached out to me in May 2024, and he was like, "Hey, dude, like a lot of companies are, a lot of agencies are using Heyreach. Let's think about what we can do in terms of native integration." And this was, in my opinion, the pivotal point for, behind, kickstarting the whole hypergrowth that we got. The integration with Clay is super, super important because Clay is becoming like the operating system for all of your workflows for all of the outbound, and being able to be natively integrated with them and being in such a tight partnerships where we are organizing events, we are organizing Clay clubs together, co-hosting, sponsoring and stuff like that. It's a really, really crucial thing of, behind the whole ecosystem growth of Heyreach.
Yeah, it's been huge. I mean, it's been massive. I feel like everyone that we talk to, we have sales calls every single day. And I feel like what ends up happening is companies come to us and they try, some of them kick the tires, right? And I'm sure you guys have similar things, or some of them just want to get free information out of you. Book a call in your calendar, ask as many questions as you can. So what outbound stack are you using? We saw this tool in Clay called Heyreach. Have you ever heard of it? How does this work? And it's like it comes up nonstop. When people talk about LinkedIn automation these days, they just talk about Heyreach on our sales calls. I never hear a single other tool come up, except occasionally Lemlist, because people want to do the multi-channel thing. It's a great alternative if you're doing everything in house. But as an agency, there's no better tool than Heyreach, right? It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I think it's crazy how the narrative has shifted from Outreach, SalesLoft, Apollo, these big giant tools, to Heyreach, Smart Lead, Instantly. Like the narrative is completely shifted, and I think it's mostly due to Clay. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I was propagating about this, that the outbound industry is changing, the stuff are moving and so on. Even like at the beginning, like at the super inception of Clay, 2022, beginning of 2022, stuff like that. So, this whole bloated thing of doing the outreach, in the previous way, where you buy stale data, you kind of like recycle the same leads and stuff like that. It's definitely wasn't effective, and that's why the outreach was dying and stuff like that. But Clay literally changed it, and pretty much paved the way for other tools to be coming on the market and be integrating and doing the same stuff as they're doing. And the whole thing with the integrations game, I think, was also enforced by the agencies and the GTM engineers, because like back in the day it was, I just need one invoice that's going to cover my sales department. But that's not effective, because let's be honest, like what tool can be the best at everything? So this fragmentation of the tools, driven by the agencies, using and adopting multiple tools, I think that's paired with Clay, literally define what I call the Outbound 3.0 way of doing things. So you're definitely right on that topic.
Yeah. It's just like a wild evolution that we've seen over the last 2-3 years. Anyways, I do want to talk about support too. Ollie, I know you had some questions about support as well, because the support's been phenomenal.
Yeah, so I guess how have things changed, Nick, as you've learned what is quality support? Like, who have you staffed on the accounts that really have made a difference? And how have you pivoted the strategies just overall on the support side of
Because
things?
the
'Cause we
support is
all the time.
phenomenal.
Yeah, exactly. Our team is always in communication. We never feel like there's a question unanswered. So yeah, just curious to hear your experience there.
Yeah, one of the biggest, most hidden growth levers that the company could have is the support, in my opinion. Because like just go on G2, Trustpilot, whatever, check the reviews, you're gonna see what's kind of like the most mentioned thing. And funny enough, I completely nuked our support last year, in May, June, something like that. When we started, scaling up and hiring people, I had the idea that the customer support people and the QA people should be actually a one role, and somebody who is quality assurance should be a support in the meantime. I was also pushing for, okay, the developers should be coding and doing support as well, so they get more aligned with the customer. Like we tried switching to some alternative tools and stuff like that, and it's the point where we pretty much ruined our support last year in June. And then what saved us was actually hiring Ebru. She's our head of support and success at the moment. She literally rebuilt the
And she's
whole.
awesome.
she's amazing. I agree on that. She came in the company. We hired her as a support rep, and in like 3 months, she scaled to pretty much head of support. Completely rebuilt the support department. Was handling all of the tickets mostly alone. Was putting all of the workflows. Made that intercom fin. Such a crazy growth on her as a person and as a role, and on fixing our support that I cannot even describe. If we didn't hire her in the summer of the 2024, 2024, I think we would have tanked, honestly. The support was so ruined back then. I remember I switched from intercom into some other tool that wasn't even sending notifications when somebody messaged. We were having like tickets waiting for a long time. People were like so unhappy with that. But what happened? She came in, she brought really like support people. She trained them from the ground up, mostly from, we are mostly hiring support from Macedonia. And keep in mind, these guys don't even know what LinkedIn outreach is or something like that. She trained them, she made them experts. They're handling the tickets, they know how to communicate with the customers. She's scaling that department beautifully. So yeah, I would say that the whole support that we have is mostly because of her. Getting into AI support that doesn't annoy you but solves your issue much faster than anyone else, and pairing that with the success, I think that's pretty much is kind of like one of the aces that we have in the sleeve.
Yeah, and something that you've mentioned over and over again is you say that customer support is the North Star metric. You've always said like MRR will grow as long as support is fantastic. How did you come to that realization so early? Because I feel like that's one of those things that most people see. So most companies that we talk to and work with, they put customer support on the back end, right? They build what they think is the best product in the world, or they go after the biggest TAM in the world so they can get customers as quickly as possible. And customer support becomes one of those things that they only start working on when churn gets to a point where it's completely unsustainable. I feel like you guys did that backwards, which is super rare, where you focus on support first. How did you get that type of insight to know that was the right play?
Yeah, I actually got it from two people. I was talking with Vaihap from SmartLead,
Yep.
super early in
Oh,
the
yeah.
games, and he shared this insight with me. And I was talking with Manny Medina, who is the founder of Outreach.io, and
Yep.
he also told me this thing. Like back in the day, Outreach, for example, they try to build the best product, focusing we are gonna win over everyone with the best product. But at the end, he told me it's not just the best product; it's the best product and the best service, which is support in our case. So like focusing on making the customer satisfied and happy and providing really good experience is pretty much our North Star metric in how we are going through everything when it comes to building the product and the company. For example, when we are building a new feature, if that feature is gonna bloat our interface and stuff like that, there's some cases where I have killed the feature. Like we are not gonna build this feature, it's gonna overcomplicate the product. Because people love Heyreach because of three things: simplicity, affordable, like the offer is really good, and the third thing is it just work. But like if you kill something out of these three things, the things are not going to be that magical. So like even when we are getting user feedback, we are all about user feedback. Like for example, our whole roadmap is based on what the users actually want and how we can improve those small things that are pissing them off in terms of building this thing. For example, the workspaces. We were selling an agency tool for like 2 years without having workspace management and user permission feature.
I asked you guys so many times too, and then now it's built. It's amazing.
I mean, but that thing was like we ended up building this feature for 9 months. Like it was 9 months from the start of the feature to the launch, and we literally incorporated every aspect of the user feedback that they wanted to do it, and we shifted in a way that's gonna be super simple for them. So like our whole roadmap is like we don't know anything about the market. We don't try to be the market experts. Our users are the ones who are experts, who are using our product on a daily basis. Let's just consume all of their feedback, build a roadmap from that feedback, and go on. Like for example, how we are defining to what feature we are building next. We are just putting like the closed lost reasons or the churn reasons with the deal potential, putting it into a pie, and the top 3 features that are the biggest portion of the pie, we are building those features. That's pretty much our whole obsession with the user feedback. But there is one thing as well. Like if you get the user feedback super raw and implement it, you're gonna be wrong in like super short time. Because at the beginning, yeah, they're gonna tell you, oh, I want this, I want that. You're building it, but the product can get super bloated. So your your job as a founder or a product person in the company, which I believe should be kind of like the same thing. The founder should be also the product person in the company, is to get that user feedback, model it into something that's gonna solve the issue, like understand what's the problem behind the feedback or the feature that the user is asking about, mold it into how it's gonna enter the product right now, and how it's gonna be aligned with the product on the long run, how it's gonna overcomplicate it or simplify it or do this or that, and pretty much build it in that fashion. So yeah, those are my 2 cents about user satisfaction and how it really impacts the company growth.
Yeah,
Super.
I think yeah, I was gonna say, I think you just said something that every founder needs to take note of. You just said your entire product roadmap is literally a list of user feedback, and then you prioritize which order to put them in.
Exactly.
That right there that's like S tier 40 years of entrepreneurial experience to get to that right there. And you did it at what, 27? Are you 27 or are you 28?
26.
26, even younger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the fact that you
Yeah.
learned that as early as you did is super impressive.
Thank you.
So Nick, I have one question. Kind of shift the topic a little bit, but you mentioned, Ebru is one of your aces in the deck. I mean, I feel like you have a whole deck of aces, honestly, like whether it's Ebru or Stefan. We haven't
We
even
can't
talked
skip
about
Ilya.
Ilya, or
Yeah.
who also have amazing stories, but I'd love to hear your perspective on how you build like an awesome company culture. It's something Alex and I talk about all the time, how you reinforce things, because, we've worked at companies in the past, and it's my perspective, things always come down from the top. You really need to set the atmosphere, the culture, and the environment. So what's your perspective on that, and how are you doing that at Heyreach?
Yeah. We don't have company values, like 5 things that we follow and stuff like that, but the whole culture is built by, is the person who is coming in the team really aligning with the team, and is he really acing at the work, or it's not? Like, for example, we haven't had anyone working who is doing drama and stuff like that in the company. Like, we are cutting out those things super quick, and we are not allowing other things to come in and to ruin everything. The beauty is that in the Heyreach team, everyone is different. Like, all of us are completely different people. Everyone has a place to be whoever they want to be. They can be weird, they can be whatever they want to be. But as long as we are aligned on the mission, like we are doing this together, we are building this whole thing together, performing, we are giving 110% at what we are doing, and we are producing really good results. As long as that happens, we are together and we are performing really well. That's a question that I don't have like a concrete answer how we are building the culture. It's really coming organically. For example, I really care about the team. Like, honestly, I care about how happy they're at work, their salaries, the opportunities they're having, finding mentors for them, and all of those things. And it's coming, I think it's coming back from having to pass through all of the crises, from the whole roller coaster of back in the Howitzer days to the Heyreach days right now. We did everything together. Like, whenever we're discussing about something, it's not like, oh, this is a decision that I made because I'm the CEO, but it's kind of like, let's sit down. You don't agree with this thing, let's talk until one of us changes the opinion, and both of us have the same opinion on this topic. Because, like, I'm not the expert in the company. I'm not the best sales guy. I'm not the best marketer guy. I'm not the best designer, whatever. But, like, I know how to find the best, and I know how to give them a canvas to be able to express themselves. So I think that's pretty much the secret behind all of this.
That's leadership 101 right there. I love that.
For sure. Yeah, humility, but also that's part of the job, is to find people who are smarter than you.
Yep. We talk about it all the time. Like, we hired somebody recently. I'll just say it by name. I'll say her by name. Her name's Natalia. But we brought this woman on, right? And she'd never worked at an agency before. But during the interview process, it was very clear she was very intelligent. The way she thought about things was impressive, to say the least. And it just felt right. We brought her on. I communicate a thought to her, and she turns it into a masterpiece of a workflow within like 2 hours. It's one of those people. It's like, I think myself, it's like, I consider myself a very high quality go-to-market engineer. Her title is go-to-market operations. She puts me to shame. She absolutely puts me to shame. And it's one of those things, like, I think a week in of her starting, I pinged Ali and I said, we found a unicorn. And Ali was just immediately responded and said, I agree. Seems like we found a real unicorn here. And it's just one of those things, like, that's what we want everyone in the company to be like. If everyone is smarter than you or is more talented than you, it forces you to level up, one, but two, it just sets the standard so much higher for the rest of the team.
Exactly.
And I think
And
that's
that
so
means
critical.
you're also doing a good job
Yeah,
because you're hiring
I think
people
one
who
of
are
the
good.
most rewarding feedback we got recently. Sorry, go for it, Nick.
Yeah, sorry, I think my thing is lagging from the internet stuff. But that means that you're doing the job right, because your duty is to find and to spot all of these A players, to bring them in your company. Your job is not to be the best operator. Your job is to be the best strategist who is gonna enable these people. Like you as a CEO, you have to make it super easy for them to just go there on the field and unleash hell and perform the best way they can.
Yep.
So
Enablement.
good job on this hire, definitely.
She's the best. I hope she sees this. One other thing I want to talk to before we ask the two most important questions that we ask in every single one of these podcasts. These are critical. But before we even get into that, I want to talk about an integration that you guys launched today in beta, but still it's coming out today. And that's the Outbound Sync integration. So you're now able to push live events and activities directly into HubSpot via Outbound Sync. You're the first to ever do this when it comes to LinkedIn. You guys are the very, very first. Like, this is actually huge. And I don't know if people understand how huge this actually is. And I'm hyping it up for a reason, because for us, you guys know what we do. We want to sync every single timeline event for every single potential buyer and actual conversion into HubSpot for our customers, right? So whether that's an email, a phone call, an ad conversion event, whether it's through paid social or paid search, the one missing piece that we always had was LinkedIn. So LinkedIn activities. And they're critical because we're booking so many meetings on behalf of our clients, and those meetings are leading to closed deals through social channels like LinkedIn, right? And if we can't track it and there's no attribution in HubSpot, a customer has no idea other than what we tell them on how to say what's actually effective and what's not. They can say, oh, we sent them a connection request, but I doubt it actually did anything. We sent them a message, but they never responded. I doubt it actually did anything. But if you can see the actual timeline events in HubSpot, sent a connection request, sent a message, the next thing they did, they went to search your company on Google, got hit with a branded search ad, clicked it, converted, became a paying customer. And you think, oh, it's probably just they heard about us somewhere through word of mouth, so they searched our company website. But you can see, no, these are the actual events that occurred, and it occurred from social. You can see all of that. This is huge. So how did this come together? I mean, obviously you guys know Harris very well. Harris is on the bleeding edge of this stuff. But how did this come together? I feel like this has been 3-4 months in the process. And how did you guys build it into such a clean integration upon beta access? Like, I'm playing with it. I played with it all day yesterday, and it is so clean already, and it hasn't even officially launched yet. How did this all come together?
I mean, the mastermind behind all of this is Harris. I must give like huge kudos to him for building first such an amazing tool that literally solves the single major thing that all of us outbound tools have or are lacking. There's like super detailed, granular, advanced integration with the CRMs. So first of all, kudos to him for building this, and second, kudos for making this happen and building it from their side. I know that it was one of their most requested features that they were getting. They were building this for a couple of months already. It's also one of our most requested features as well. Like whenever we have a sales team and stuff like that, all of them, or even agencies as well, all of them are asking for, guys, can you please build a native integration with HubSpot that literally gonna work the way it should? So yeah, finally we are gonna be able to push this live to all of the people who've been asking for it, and pair HubSpot with LinkedIn, like allow LinkedIn communication channel to HubSpot and vice versa. So yeah,
Amazing.
Harris is pretty much the mastermind behind all of this.
So shout out Harris Kenny. We love Harris Kenny. I mean, this guy is amazing. We've been working with him for like a year at this point, and I feel like every single day I learn about new functionality we can do in HubSpot through Harris's stuff and Outbound Sync, the way it's pushing.
Yep.
It's honestly, it's transparently, like we've had clients that were about to churn because they couldn't attribute the work that we were doing. And then we just pull up a HubSpot dashboard and say, well, look at all the activity that's occurring and look at the influence it's been providing. And then it just flips a switch where they're like, oh my God, this right here is what I've been looking for the last 10 years as a marketer. And I've never been able to have these entire buyer journeys sync directly at the contact level and the activity level in HubSpot with this level of granularity. And it's saved contracts for us. Like, we probably owe Harris a shitload of money for how much money he's made us and saved us. But yeah, amazing. Honestly amazing. So we're to the two final questions that we ask every single person that comes on this podcast. They're really important, and I'm extremely excited to hear your answers for them. But question number one, so 10 years from now, what's the one sentence that's going to define your legacy and the impact you've made on this world, whether it's business, personal, it doesn't matter.
Interesting. Probably like a happy and free person who is enjoying life and building things that have huge impact on the technology or, a society or a given industry. Like, I don't want to overcomplicate it. Oh, I see myself as this or that. But like, I'm a builder. I love to build things. I love to spot problems. I'm an entrepreneur. I don't know if, Heyreach is going to be my last legacy or it's going to be something else that I'm going to be creating. But I definitely enjoy building things that people love and things that really, really solve problems and, make people either money or allow them to express themselves or, make them happy.
I lost you for a second, but I think I heard everything you said.
It's still 71.
It's such an interesting question too, because like we had Eli Rubel on last week, and Eli famously on his LinkedIn, it says $10 million in agency profit since 2019. He's known as just like a really successful agency owner who's been able to bootstrap to many, many millions in profit at a pretty young age. We asked him this question last week, and he just said, I want to be remembered as a great father and a great friend. And, it's so interesting hearing somebody who's been so successful in business just say something completely unrelated for business, which lets you know, like, there's way more to life than just building a business and making a ton of money. So super interesting question we love to ask, but yeah, great answer. The last question for you, and this one's actually really important, especially given that you come from Macedonia and you've really put Macedonia on the map here. But what's the most important advice that you would give to an aspiring entrepreneur that you wish you had 5 years ago, 7 years ago?
Yeah, just go and do it. Like, nobody in the world knows if the thing that you want to do is going to succeed or not. Nobody can tell you if that's going to work or it's not going to work. You just go and do it. You just go and build the thing. You just ship the thing, get out, build in public, be present there, grind, hustle, go for what you believe that you're going to achieve. And apparently you're going to achieve it. Like, there is a reference from 50 Cent, like, get rich or die trying. It's kind of like, build, like, either you're going to be successful if you really want to be successful in what you're doing, either you're going to be successful or you're just going to die trying to be successful. Like, those are the two outcomes. If you try 1,000 things, apparently something's going to work, and you have to be right only once. That's pretty much the thing. And everyone around you, the whole society, is going to probably try to put you down because, like, it's an outlier thing. It's out of the median, how you should live your life and how you should go through it and how successful you should be and stuff like that. The society wants to normalize people, to put them into kind of like the vast majority, but be weird, go and do the thing, go and build the product, really do what you're passionate about, and at some point it's going to work for sure.
Like, that's going to be the title of the episode. Get rich or die trying.
It should be. I was thinking the exact same thing. And Ali, the other thing we can do on the outro for this one is as it ends, the music, Hustler's Ambition, just starts to fade in by 50 Cent. I got a thing for this gangster shit. They love me. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll throw it in. All right, Nick, this has been absolutely awesome, man. I'm really glad we get to catch up. We're going to have a good time next week in San Francisco, too.
Definitely.
Thanks for coming on, man. This has been awesome.
Thank you for having me here.
Yep. And look out for this episode on YouTube. It's going to be great.
Definitely.
All right, guys.
Thank you very much for having me, and see you next week.